All right, so this is a year-end market report. We're just coming out actually with our December market report from our research team, and at year-end we'll do our usual year-end market report as well, getting into the details of the submarkets of what's going on. But we thought we'd do just a quick update now to what's going on and some of the key factors for the market. The first thing to keep in mind is the right perspective. There are a lot of headlines and media conversations about how the market has dropped dramatically. Values have changed. And in fact, the market has dropped about 20% over what it was peak 21. But again, we were coming off of two really crazy, wild years in 20 and 21. And now we're settling back down to a more normal market, something akin to 2014 through 2016, so more balanced market. So it's not a panicked change, but certainly the headlines might lead you to think that there is a big change in the marketplace. So with that perspective, let's get into a couple of key issues. One, interest rates. Interest rates rose very dramatically, sort of surprisingly that they went as quick as they had. And then, of course, surprisingly as well, they've dropped quicker than we thought that they would be declining. And that up and down change in market really has a lot to do with the economy and inflation and all. And actually, considering we were surprised with the rise and a little bit surprised with the decline, maybe our projections for where rates are going, you can take it with a grain of salt. But we do think that rates are settling. It should have been probably all along in that 5% range. They were artificially low years before pandemic, and they've been artificially high most recently. So we think going forward, they'll be in that range, maybe even below 4% by the time we get to the end of the year. So it sounds corny, but that you marry your house and you date your rate really does have relevance. If you find the home that you love at a payment you can afford with current interest rates, then grab it, because the only thing that can happen is your payments will stay the same or they'll get better as rates decline. So I wouldn't be worried so much about interest rates. It's more find the home and the location and the payments that you can afford. So next from interest rates are inventory. What's going on with inventory? Home inventory, for sale inventory are still at near record lows. And that's for a number of reasons. One, we have a lot of home sellers who have got those sub 3% mortgages, and they're just not as motivated to sell. In fact, we've had low mortgages for 10 years now, and that's why the average home ownership time frame has moved from about 7 years to 10 years. People are staying in their homes a little bit longer. So that's slowing release of inventory. And also, just in general, the economy has caused people to be concerned, so they're putting their homes in the market. And quite frankly, as buyers pulled back as rates jumped, about half of buyers are sellers. So if I'm not buying, I'm watching to see how rates change and how I could recalibrate my payments and where I'm looking for homes. I'm not selling my home as well. We expect that to change and inventories to probably rise a little bit going through next year, but not dramatically. So as a buyer, you should be aware of that the choices you'll have are not too different than they have been recently, continuing forward into next year the same. Home values. Well, one of the good things about low inventory is it'll keep home values more stable. You reduce supply, even though demand has been reduced, supply being reduced correspondingly keeps values more stable. We do think that probably that crazy roll up of the last 2 years of values, we think probably in general will give back one of those years, which is still very good. 95% or more of all homeowners will see wonderful appreciation in value when they sell their home going forward in the future. But it wasn't sustainable for those 2 years. So we'll probably give some of that back. And that'll happen over the next a year to 2 years as we settle in and the economy settles and moves back up again. So what does all that mean to buyers and sellers? Well, let's start with buyers first. Keep in mind that still we're tracking 25 to 30% of all home sales are multiple offer overbids. So it used to be 70, now it's 30. But that still means a significant portion of the market. And as you probably found, if you're in the market now as a buyer, it is always that home that you really want the most is the one that's attracting the most attention. So buyers need to be still ready to go, approved for the mortgage and ready to jump in the market, because often the home they love is the one that'll get the most attention. On the other hand, you have more opportunities for homes that have been sitting in the market longer. So it's not that homes are going to be discounted dramatically, but you'll have more opportunity for getting homes price that's probably more affordable than it has been in the past. For sellers, because the market has settled a little bit, days on market are still very quick compared to historical numbers. But compared to what they were a year and 2 years ago, it's quite a bit slower. So expect, compared to when your neighbors sold their home a year ago, your home to stay in the market a little bit longer. Sales will occur in weeks and maybe even a month or so versus days. But it's still a relatively rapid pace market. But also keep in mind that that bird in the hand probably has value now. So if you've got a good offer, then you want to work that offer and make sure that it makes sense, because you may not have one coming behind. And I think in general, sellers have to be aware of the fact that, first of all, they have to be a little bit more patient with some of the offers, because buyers are going to read those headlines and say, oh, the market's settled quite a bit. And you'll get a few offers that are probably a little bit insulting. The market has settled, but not as much as in the eyes of some buyers. So be kind, just respond with a counteroffer that's appropriate, and keep those buyers engaged, because, again, that bird in the hand is pretty important. So in general, when a market shifts, that's when counsel and advice is the most important, because the market isn't going to shift equally. How it shifts and settles in Milford is different than what's going to be in Shelby, than in Midtown, than in Trenton. So having that good counsel, that good advice will be extremely important coming over the next year or so as you're looking for your housing needs. Our research team, our realtors, that's kind of all that we do all day. We're into this stuff regularly, understanding the micro trends and where the worlds are going. So please reach out to our team. Use their experience, their counsel, their advice to guide you to look for those opportunities, and there'll be plenty of those opportunities coming up in the ensuing year. So that's it.